Hey folks, happy Sunday. I don't normally do Sunday videos anymore, but I decided to do one today because I was inspired when I watched this video this morning. Now, this is Hell Hades' video on his YouTube channel from yesterday. So I will include a link in the description of my video so you can go check it out if you are interested. And you should, because it is absolutely fantastic. Now, in it, Hell Hades starts with the idea that I think a lot of us content creators have been promoting for the past several weeks, which is that if you are doing a Dungeon Divers event like we are currently doing for the Thor Fusion, and you have completed your dungeon tournament portion, so you've done your 2000 energy in Ice Golem or Spider or wherever, you should complete the Dungeon Divers with stage 20 of the event dungeon. Now, I'm going to call this the Odin dungeon from now on because we say the word event way too often in Raid Shadow Legends. So you should go over to the Odin dungeon and farm stage 20 if you can. Now, stage 20 of this dungeon is extremely efficient, and it also gives you an opportunity to collect pinpoint gear and accessories, which are highly valuable. But that's not what makes the video fantastic or exceptional. What happens is Hell Hades theory crafts a team to speed farm stage 20 of the Odin dungeon, and it fails initially. And that's really important because most theory crafts fail initially. And then Hell Hades spends the rest of the video troubleshooting his theory craft and eventually lands on a really fun team that can speed farm stage 20 with a high degree of success. And he even offers a few substitute champions that you could use in case you don't have his exact champions. So it's absolutely worth watching. Now, the reason it inspired me is because I started thinking about like building his team, because I'd like to speed farm stage 20. That'd be fantastic. But in order to do so, I would have to rebuild some champions I use for other solutions. And I'm a free-to-play player, so I can't break solutions in order to get other solutions. And I don't have the resources to constantly be switching gear. So despite the fact that I know Hell Hades teams work, I can't use it. I can't use this team. So I decided to theory craft my own team and see what we could come up with. Now, the goal here is to farm stage 20 in under 20 seconds with 100% consistency, or as close to 100% as we can get. And so that's what we're going to do in today's video. I hope that is interesting to you and that you stick around for it. I am Colred. This is Colred Plays Raid Shadow Legends. Let's get started. I wanted to take a brief moment to offer a very sincere thank you to those of you who have reached out to me over the past month and offered me well wishes. If you don't know, I injured my back last month. It was extremely painful and it's been very limiting. I haven't been able to sit at my desk for long stretches or work a full-time job. I can't lift my baby boy, which is disheartening. But I am on the road to recovery. I have an excellent physical therapist and doctors, and we're doing all the right things. And so I am currently sleeping through the night. The pain is much more manageable now. I've still got a ways to go, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and things have been getting better. In the meantime, though, your messages have been absolutely uplifting and comforting. So thank you so much to everybody who reached out. And if you want to make me feel any better, I'm sorry I have to do it. You can smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and consider joining our Discord community. But seriously, this community is absolutely fantastic. I love being a part of it. You guys are the best. Thank you. Okay, for those of you who didn't watch my previous Odin Dungeon video, I was trying to theory craft a team to clear stage 30. That was like my initial goal. And so I hit upon this idea. I didn't really watch anybody else's videos. I just hit upon this idea where I was like, okay, trying different things. If we have Seer nuke out the wave, we can then have Wukong block buffs Odin so he doesn't get his block damage buff up, and then we can use Newt to nuke him out. Basically, Astrid is here to speed everybody up because the speed requirements are very fast, and Cardiel is here to add a cleanse and a block debuffs buff, but also that ally attack helps us do more damage. He also adds buffs for Seer to strip so that she can nuke out the wave. So that's what the purpose of each of these champions is. Now you can see here I'm on stage 24, not stage 30, because it didn't complete stage 30. I didn't have the stats. I didn't have the accuracy on Wukong. I didn't have the damage on Seer. So I ended up dropping down here to stage 24. I use this team for both stage 24 and stage 20, depending on if I'm trying to farm slightly better gear, if I'm trying to be slightly more energy efficient. Stage 20 is more energy efficient. Stage 24 has slightly better drops, but the rates aren't really great, so it's less efficient in the long run. But so anyway, we're going to go ahead and show this team here on stage 24, just so you can see what I was already working with. It's a relatively fast team, but I wouldn't call it a speed farm team. It's just a good farm team. So we get the debuffs out there, the weaken from Astrid, and then we get all the buffs out. You can see that Seer doesn't have quite enough damage to one-shot the wave. We do get stunned, we then cleanse, but because we have the block debuffs on the boss, we basically prevent him from getting that shield, or we can come back around and strip that shield from him. But because we don't have any cooldown reduction, we just have to wait for the skills to come back around on their own. So it's not, like I said, it's not a speed farm team. It's just a highly reliable team. It usually finishes around the 1 minute mark, maybe a little bit more than that. I think the fastest is something like 55, 56 seconds. On stage 20, it does it a bit more consistently because the speed requirements are lower and Odin never gets his shield up. And so I can do that consistently in like 50 to 60 seconds, somewhere around there. This is actually a slower run than typical because he's gotten his shield up much more than often. That's what happens when you shoot a video. That's what happens when you shoot a video. You always get the worst outcome of your teams the first time out. So I'm going to let this run, and hopefully we can complete this on Newt's next big hit. But that's the theorycraft here. And you can see it's decent, but it was actually kind of overtuned for stage 30, right? I was really trying to get stage 30 down, not stage 24. So it wasn't designed for this stage. It wasn't designed for stage 20. And because the speed requirements are lower on stage 20, and the boss has less defense and less HP, you can actually build maybe a better team that would 1 or 2 shot the boss. Do it in, again, we can do stage 20 in under 20 seconds. That's the goal. So full disclosure, I have built a team, but I'm going to walk you through the theorycraft, and we'll put it together so you can see exactly why it does what it does. And maybe you can use that as a model to theorycraft your own team, or you can go ahead and copy mine if you have the champions and the gear. And, you can get your speed farm team down here. And this is just a lot of fun for me. I think it's a lot of fun to like theorycraft these teams and keep working with the express restriction of not breaking any other speed tunes that I have, which is really important. So as you can see here, 6-star gear is a little bit more common here at stage 24 than stage 20. That's why I'm here. But stage 20 is still an excellent place to farm. So we're going to go and drop down to stage 20. Now, I want to start with the theory craft. So let's go and look at my roster of champions so you can see who I was working. Now, I have a decent roster, and I wanted to do my own theory craft. I didn't want to copy Hell Hades. Like I said, I couldn't do his anyway because it would require me to break other solutions. So what I thought about was I don't want to use Wukong. I don't want to block the boss's buffs. I don't want the boss to ever get buffs. He gets his buff on the 9th turn. So the goal was really, can we kill the boss before the 9th turn? And I thought about several ways to do that. But I did have a champion that I hadn't built yet, but I had taken a 6 stars recently and I wanted to build because I think Phoenix is a champion that a lot of free-to-play players build. They have, and I just hadn't built him on this account yet. So I took him to 6 stars during like the last CVC. And so I went ahead and completed his build today with the intention that he's going to be part of this solution. So as you can see here, his stats are pretty good, right? He's got 5,600 attack, which is not phenomenal, but it's strong. I went without any real speed on him. He's running at 142, and I'll talk about why in just a second. You can also see I only went to 70% crit rate. But I did get a decent amount of crit damage here at 280, which is not my best, but it's definitely towards the sort of upper quadrant, I would say, of my damage dealers. And this was all new gear. I didn't steal gear from anybody. He is in Instinct, which has 20% ignore defense. And then he's also in Cruel, which has 5% ignore defense. So I'm ignoring 25% defense. And then here are the masteries. You can check them out. I am in Helm Smasher because I also have some other ideas for Phoenix in the future. you could certainly build him and put him in War Master. I think it would probably work with either mastery. It's just up to you what you want to use him for. And so, you know, like I said, I have some ideas down the road. Again, you could also put him in the defense tree if you wanted to get counterattacks out of him. I did sort of have the idea that I would get some accuracy on him because he has a block buffs debuff and a block active skills. So I thought about, like, you know, maybe if the A1 doesn't work, I could still block buffs with the A2. And it's good having another block buffs champion. But as you can see, I don't have that much accuracy on him. I only have 199 accuracy. That's not high enough for this dungeon. And I haven't glyphed him or anything. And I also didn't get an accuracy banner. I went with attack. So I could switch him into an accuracy banner, get more accuracy, glyph him with accuracy and all that stuff. But for right now, I just wanted to make him hard-hitting as possible. Now, the reason I didn't build him with 100% crit rate is because my intention is to still use Cardiel. Cardiel has an ally attack, and when he does his ally attack, he gets increased crit rate and increased crit damage. So that increased crit damage buff is also key. I want that. So once I started thinking that, I was like, why not just go down the ally attack route? Let's see what we can do with ally attack. Now, here's something that you need to know about Phoenix, or Phoenix, or however you want to pronounce it. I don't care how you pronounce it. You can pronounce it whatever way you want. I'm pronouncing it Phoenix. His A1 is a very hard-hitting A1. It's probably the hardest-hitting epic A1 in the game as far as I know. I think the multiplier is over 4, and as you can see, it places an extra hit if the target has any debuffs. In addition, enemies killed by the skill cannot be revived, but that doesn't matter in this particular case because we're going to be targeting the boss, not the ads. So we're going to get a double hit, but only if the boss has a debuff. So we need to get a debuff onto that boss. And so I started thinking, okay, we're doing ally attack. I know an ally attacker who's got a debuff on his A1. He's got a decreased defense, and that's Farrakhan the Fat. But here's the thing, that's only a 50% chance. So there's only a 50% chance that I get a decreased defense. But if I want debuffs on the boss, I want decreased defense and weaken. Those are the ones that are going to maybe allow me to one-shot or, you know, like two-shot or three-shot the boss and kill him before that 9-turn limit. Remember, he puts his block damage up at 9 turns. We don't want him to get to that 9-turn limit. So we need a decreased defense and or a weaken. So I started to think about other champions that have A1 debuff. And then I also thought about speed. And as I said, I put attack percentage boots on Phoenix so he would hit really hard because he doesn't need speed with ally attacks. Now, by the way, I didn't build Phoenix until after I came up with the ally attack idea, right? Like, I just wanted to use him. And then I was like, oh, maybe he would work with an ally attack. Oh, now I need a debuff. So that's how a theory craft comes together, right? You can start with a champion who hits hard. And then you say, well, how do I get him to hit really hard? Like, well, he has an extra attack on his A1. Every time he ally attacks with his A1. But I need a debuff. So now I need somebody else in the ally attack to have a debuff. Well, maybe I can ally attack multiple times. Oh, well, now I can build Phoenix to hit really hard. Now he doesn't need speed. And so all those pieces start to come together. And you get a build where it's like, okay, I want to ignore defense. I want to have decreased defense. I want to have weaken. And I want to have increased crit rate. I want to have increased crit damage. I want to maximize my damage in all the little tricky ways that we can do in Raid. Right? So I've got my second ally attacker with a drop defense, but I need another champion to give me an A1 weaken or an A1 drop defense. Now, I thought about bringing in Arbiter. Because Arbiter has an increase, an increase attack on her A3 with a turn meter increase, but she also has a weaken on her A1. So when the ally attacks go off, she would be dropping a weaken. But this also only has a 50% chance of a weaken. And Hell Hades used Arbiter in his video. So I was like, well, let's try to use somebody else. So then I thought about Astrid. I was like, well, what about Astrid? She has a weaken, right? And you can get an increased attack and an increased speed and a decreased speed and a weaken all from Astrid. And that's absolutely fantastic. And so I did consider that. But then I realized I have another champion who has an increased attack ability that could be even better. And that is Lady Mikage, because she has an ally attack that has an increased attack buff. So now I'm thinking 3 ally attackers. We're going to go with 3 ally attackers. That's crazy. That's nuts. But it's fun. It's fun. Why not go ahead and do that? And again, you might not have 3 ally attackers. By the way, you don't need Cardiel, right? You don't necessarily need Lady Mikage. You can mix and match the ally attackers that you do have. So another one that I considered is Grand Oak Podrick. He's got an ally attack. Here it is on his A2, right? But this one doesn't give any buffs, and that could be fine because, again, I'm getting the increased attack and the increased crit damage from Lady Mikage. And if you have Farrakhan the Fat, you're also getting increased crit rate. So I don't actually need Cardiel's increased crit rate. So if I have Lady Mikage and Podrick and Farrakhan the Fat, that would also work. And there might be some other ally attackers that you could use have different buffs that, you know, would make this composition or this theory craft work. So now I was thinking about this team and I was like, who do I put last? And I still feel like I need an extra chance at a debuff. So I need somebody who's got an A1 debuff. And also this speed aura from Cardiel is not necessary at stage 20 because all of my champions, except for Phoenix, are just faster than the boss. All of them are going to go before the boss goes. And I don't need Phoenix to go at all because he's just the ally attack damage dealer. So what I really need is I need a better aura, so preferably attack. And I need somebody who does an A1 decreased defense or weaken. And so right away I thought of Rathalos. He's also got 4-star ascension for me, or awakening, so he does have a soul reap. But he's got 30% attack in dungeons, and that's absolutely fantastic. That's going to push Phoenix's attack up even more. And then he's got an A1 that has a 65% chance of landing a decreased defense that can't be resisted against a boss, so he doesn't have to worry about accuracy. So I don't have a 100% chance to land a decreased defense. I also don't have a weaken, so maybe this won't work. I don't know. You know, I do know, but I didn't know before. I'm going to try this out. Now, everybody was built except for Phoenix, so I went ahead and built Phoenix like you saw, with high crit damage, 70% crit rate, and low speed, high attack. So now let's jump into the dungeon and see how it works. We're going to go to stage 20. And we're just going to pull this out. I haven't thrown it into the AI yet. I wanted to see if it would work without AI. So we're going to start with Rathalos in the lead, giving us that aura. And then you want to remember that the order of attack matters when you do ally attacks. So because we want that decreased defense down before anybody else goes, preferably because it's going to allow us to do more damage, we actually want Farrakhan the Fat to go second. That's really important. So now I've got 2 chances to drop defense with Rathalos and Farrakhan the Fat. And remember, every time they ally attack, they're going to hit with their A1, and they both have decreased defense on their A1. The chance of me landing a decreased defense on the very first ally attack is about, I think it's, what is it? It's 50% on one and 65% on the other. So it's something like 83%. I'm going to get about 83%. Yeah, I know that might not have made sense to some of you, but that's how you do the math. It's going to be about something like about 83% chance of landing a decreased defense on the first ally attack. But remember, I have 3 ally attacks. So now I'm going to go ahead and put in Cardiel and Lady Mikage. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and put in Phoenix. If you're interested in how that math works, you can go ahead and ask in the comments below, and I'll give you an explanation. But yeah, so this is what we've got. So we're not going to put on auto battle, or we're going to turn off auto battle. And so then I wanted to see, you know, is it just going to work? Like as an idea, I didn't even put it into the AI, so I don't know what the auto AI is going to run. We're just going to go ahead and start with Lady Mikage. She's the fastest. She's going to give us that increased attack right away, which is great. It just happened to work out that way, but that's definitely what you want, right? You want the increased crit rate and increased attack first, and then you want the increased crit damage to follow. So we're going to do that first. And you can see, okay, we did a decent amount of damage, but that's one ally attack, and all of a sudden it doesn't feel like I'm going to get there. We also missed our decreased defense, But now we're going to start our second ally attack and see if we can land a decreased defense. So there we got a decreased defense, and you can see the damage was much more. That's much more just like HP bar gone. And then we do have Rathalos has to do a skill. So I would say, you know, here, if you had to, you could go ahead and A1 again and get another chance at a decreased attack, or you can just go and do either of his skills. I think by default, he would probably prioritize his A3. We do get counterattacked. And then we're going to go ahead and do the final ally attack and see if we can kill off this boss. What did I say? What did I say about when you record videos? You always get the worst outcome, right? You get the worst outcome. I have run this 10 times and never failed. I have never failed to one-shot this boss, but here we are. What you gonna do? That's so funny. That is, of course, that's perfect. So again, like I said, as close to a 100% chance as possible, but it's not a 100% chance. And now we are into a whole world of hurt. We still have Rathalos, though. I feel pretty good, and we have ways to remove the buffs. So let's see if we can actually make this work. This is too funny. This is too funny. Of course, it doesn't work perfectly. Hey, HH's Theorycraft didn't work on the first shot either. Oh, there's a big hit. Let's see if he's going to get the buff up one more time, or if we can finish him off. No! Of course he did. Of course he did. But we could kill him off. That's too funny. That is too funny. I'll keep that in there, though, son. We should keep that in there. Just so people can see. Theorycrafts don't work perfectly every time. You know, you just have to figure out what is the level of acceptable, you know, like success or failure rate that that you can live with. Yeah, so let's try this again. So anyway, you saw how the theory worked. That is the theory. So if I fail on the, you know, both of my first decreased defenses, that's what's going to happen. Now, I could potentially like swap in a champion that gives me those two, gives me a decreased defense or a weaken or both at 100% chance, right? But nobody has that on their A1, and I'm trying to do an ally attack thing. So let's go ahead and run this now. We'll run this full auto and see what happens. Again, no AI, so let's just see if it's something that we have to program or not. Now that we have the decreased defense, I feel pretty good about it. As you can see, we're closer to 2/3 there. And then we'll get the last ally attack. And one shot, 12 seconds. So stage 20 in under 20. And, you know, as you can see, it's not 100%. But I find that it succeeds a lot. It succeeds at a high rate. I would say over 90%, it will do it in 12 seconds. And you don't even have to program the AI, because ally attackers always attack the boss when given the option, right? So like if you're doing, you know, another team, sometimes single target attackers will like attack the ads, you know, they'll attack the minions. But here, everybody just attacks the boss and you drop it down. Go ahead and improve my Theorycraft. See if you can come up with an even better version of this. Maybe different ally attackers, maybe a different secondary damage dealer from Rathalos, maybe different gear sets that allow you to do things, or blessings that allow you to do things, and hopefully improve this to a 100% clear. But again, I do think it's pretty cool to be able to clear stage 20 in under 20. And I'm going to run it just one more time to enjoy it. And hopefully it doesn't fail this time as well. Again, like I said, that's the first time I've seen it fail. I think once the drop defense is out, it's basically a guarantee. But we'll have to see. I don't know. Maybe he'll survive with 1% health or something. There is also the variability of Cardiel joining in on his own attack, because he can, like when Rathalos goes, Rathalos gets one non-ally attack. So you can see Cardiel joined it there, and he does a little bit damage. So that was 13 seconds because of the extra animation for Cardiel. So again, let me know if you can improve upon this Theorycraft at all. Let's make it like the 20, let's make it a challenge. We're going to call it the stage 20, no, 20 under 20. 20 under 20, 20 under 20. Why does that sound familiar? Like the 30 for 30 from ESPN. I don't know. Stage 20 and under 20 challenge. Let's see what you can do. Show me your compositions. Doesn't have to be this one at all. If you come up with a cooler one, if you use Newt, or maybe you have a Krizier or something, like, we know those are going to do better. But go ahead and show me your best team composition to do stage 20 of the Odin dungeon in under 20 seconds. Good luck to all of you out there. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've been Colred, and I will see you in another video soon.